Daily Tech News Show is made possible by you, our listeners. Thanks to all of you, including Hector Bones, Tim Ashman, Johnny Hernandez, and James Lawless. On this episode of DTNS, Waymo's expanding and Uber's rebranding. Blue Sky is so popular it might even introduce ads. And OpenAI's GPT Pro is here for a price. This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, December 5th, 2024. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
From deep in the heart of Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And I'm Roger, the show's producer.
We have got a good show for everyone. Let's start with some quick hits. Android 15's first major update adds a bunch of stuff. Expressive captions for videos, improved AI descriptions, look out for low vision users, even a Spotify extension for Gemini Assistant as well. Pixel 9 phones will get enhanced call screening and updates to the Screenshots app, including saving searches and ticket management. Gboard now suggests phrases based on a user's screenshot data as well. Previous gen Pixels also get more security with identity check. Updates are rolling out today for Android 15 and Pixel 6 or newer phones.
Reuters sources say that TSMC is in talks with NVIDIA to help produce its Blackwell artificial intelligence chips at TMC's new plant in Arizona. NVIDIA's Blackwell chips are currently manufactured at TSMC's facilities in Taiwan. TSMC and NVIDIA both declined comment, but if finalized, the agreement would have a production ramping up in Arizona early next year.
Bitcoin crept past $100,000, if you're comparing it to US dollars, for the first time, due to multiple factors, including BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, more adoption by traditional finance, and a potential short on $5 billion worth of Bitcoin shorts. Bitcoin is now up more than 140% in 2024, and 48% since the presidential election in November.
Amazon announced Thursday that it has successfully completed an initial test of a drone delivery in Italy, the first country in Europe where the company has introduced the service. The test was carried out on Wednesday in San Salvo, a town in the central Abruzzo region. Amazon had hoped to start using drones in Italy by late 2024. In a statement, Amazon said the company continues to work with the Italian authorities to meet all of the requirements needed to launch the service next year.
The UK telecoms Vodafone and Three received antitrust approval for their proposed mobile network merger by the Competition and Markets Authority, or the CMA, on Thursday. That creates the region's largest network to date. The proposed £16.5 billion merger is now expected to be completed in the first half of 2025. The deal is expected to improve 5G coverage and reduce duplication, in theory, benefiting customers and cutting costs. Regulators did impose conditions, though, such as both companies need to sign binding commitments to invest billions into expanding that combined 5G network over the next 8 years. Vodafone also announced it will sell its remaining 3% stake in India's telecommunications infrastructure company Indus Towers. That's about 79.2 million shares, or equivalent of $335 million US dollars. Waymo announced it's going to expand its robo-taxi service to Miami, targeting a 24/7 launch coming next year. The move adds to its current operations. First started in Phoenix, went to San Francisco, now in not all of Los Angeles, but a pretty large swath of it. Miami has a different kind of urban layout. It's flat, but it also has, shall we say, unpredictable weather conditions. So it should make an interesting test bed for Waymo's autonomous tech in a different kind of place. The company says it now averages 100,000 weekly paid trips across its active markets, and that's a pretty big growth over just last year. Justin, I know you don't live in Miami currently, but what do you think? How do you think Waymo is going to work out there?
Well, there's a few things that you have to deal with if you are running a Waymo operation in Miami, an autonomous car operation. Number one, there's the technical. When you mentioned that there is a different climatological challenge, that's rain, and oftentimes very dense, very quick rain that they are going to have to deal with when it comes to their sensors. in that region. You know, that is something that is technologically different than some of the other fairly predictable cities that they are in currently. San Francisco, you have some of the elevation stuff, but it doesn't really change much weather-wise. Same with LA, same with Phoenix. And similar with here in Austin, where they're also running. Miami has that, so this will be something to look out for. The other part is the fact that people from Miami are there, and you know it's a party place. I don't know where they're going to be running it specifically, but especially in some of the areas in downtown Miami and South Beach, and even in some of the other more gentrified areas like Wynwood, you know, it's a bit of a party town, and people like to do strange things in party town.
Sure, yeah. People might not act appropriately in the back of a Waymo, is what
they might act like they're on vacation, whether or not they actually live there.
Sure.
Not only that, it's not even so much people in the Waymo, it's people on the outside of the Waymos that are, you know, darting in and out of clubs, this and that and the other. I mean, not that that can't happen anywhere else, but it's different in Miami. It's just different there. So it will be interesting to see how these operate. Will they even be in like the club districts, which is kind of like all of Miami? There's really no place where clubs aren't there. So,
I mean, like there are some areas where that is more of where you're going to get critical mass of a lot of people down there. The bigger thing is that Miami, especially in the Miami Beach area, is that you've got outlets like in terms of the roads that are there that are like bridges, that if something goes wrong with a Waymo there, it's going to be a larger problem. Yeah. So this is a higher stakes thing, but it's the kind of city that they need to operate in if they want to operate nationwide. So, you know, you got to roll the dice. You got to put your product out there.
I mean, I've talked about my my love for Waymo. I mean, I've really only been in one a handful of times, but there are so many in my area of Los Angeles now. And it used to be that, you know, I'd crane my head to be like, is someone driving? Oh yeah, someone's driving. Is that a Waymo? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's obvious when it's a Waymo, but there would be, you know, about half the time you'd see a driver behind the wheel. You go, oh yeah, they're just like testing stuff. Now I never see anybody driving. They're just chilling. They're just hanging out, going around town. Sometimes people are in the back. I mean, the windows are tinted, so it's not like I can really get a good look at anybody, but you can kind of tell if somebody's in the back or not. But you can definitely tell that someone's not driving. And it's sort of inching past this novelty stage where I'm like, yeah, that's just, you know, how it goes. I took an Uber to the airport. I had to go up north a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, it made way more sense for me to take an Uber rather than do long-term parking. But Waymo doesn't go to Burbank Airport where I was going. And I remember sitting in the back of the car just being like, kind of weird. Human driving me. That's how quickly we get used to this stuff.
Wow. You want to know what? Sorry, I opened a thing. I looked, every time we have a Waymo conversation, I look on my app to see whether or not I am allowed to get Waymos now. And I just saw that Waymo is transferring to being operated through the Uber app in early 2025 in Austin. So I wonder whether or not they are just kind of giving up on the city.
Interesting. Yeah. Speaking of Uber news, Uber announced it's rebranding its same-day delivery service, currently called Uber Connect, to Uber Courier. A lot of people are like, that makes more sense because that's what it is. It's a courier service. Deliveries can be scheduled ahead of time. Uber offers live trip tracking, as well as a PIN verification system to confirm receipt of the package, you know, make sure that the right person is getting what they ordered. Uber's also expanding its car seat offerings to more cities, including Orlando, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Miami, and San Francisco. The service, which provides Nuna car seats to drivers, has been live in New York City and Los Angeles since 2023, but it was not that long ago that I remember in San Francisco in particular, because I still lived there, there would always be this conversation of like, well, we can't take an Uber because we got the baby type thing. You know, the car seat thing was a huge problem, and so you just didn't get a lot of Ubers with kids unless there was some special circumstance.
The car seats thing is cool because not everybody has a carrier or one of those strollers that'll convert into one. So the fact that they're just going to be able to service more people ultimately will probably use the service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For folks, Blue Sky,
it's going to be interesting.
Blue Sky, the social media platform that has blown up recently thanks to vibrant community of posters, user customization choices, and a decentralized protocol, is hinting at a few potential revenue streams, including social media subscriptions, a marketplace of algorithms, and selling domain names. It also looks like advertising could be on the table for the X and Threads competitor. Blue Sky CEO Jay Graber has commented not to inshiftify the platform with ads, but at TechCrunch's Strictly VC event in San Francisco, she said she's not ruling out ads altogether. We asked if Blue Sky would always be free of advertisers like it is today. Graber said, when I think it's not necessarily true. I think that the ways we would explore advertising if we did would be much more user intent driven. So I don't think that it is a stretch to say that one of the reasons, one, not all, but one of the reasons, one of the factors that Blue Sky is having the ridiculous growth that it's having over the last 3 weeks, because about 3 weeks ago, Threads announced that they are going to be adding ads to their platform starting next year. So people don't like ads. So that's one of the reasons why, what's a place that doesn't have ads? Blue Sky. So that's one of the factors. I don't think it's the main one. But when I think about selling domain names, they'll make a little bit of money doing that. When I think about a marketplace for algorithms, they'll make a little bit of money doing that. When I think about actual subscriptions, I think they might actually do well with that. I personally have subscriptions on X that will expire here shortly. I have them on Meta platforms. I would probably get one there. But those three things combined would only be a rounding error compared to what this company could potentially do if they get ads right. So I'm right now, Blue Sky has not crossed, I don't think 25 million subscribers yet. If they're probably real close to it. But I don't think that, it is much of a stretch to think that eventually they're going to put ads on this thing, because that's where the real money ultimately can be made. Justin, I kind of want to get your take on that, because I don't know that you necessarily agree.
I don't agree for two different reasons. Number one, I'm not a long-term believer in Blue Sky. And number two, I'm not a long-term believer in advertising, and specifically advertising at the scale that you would really make the money that you'd want to do. The way that you get maximum ad money now is by putting on the kind of ads that are ugly and intrusive and make people hate ads. There's a reason why the web has become nearly impenetrable when you go to certain websites because of intrusive ad tech. The websites aren't doing that because they hate you, although they might. They're doing that because those are the ads that pay money. And it's the chum ads, it's the ugly ads. So
yeah, it's like the whack-a-mole stuff. You launch a page, you want to read a story, and you're like, let me, right-click on 4 of these things so that I can actually read that story.
So if you're chasing ad money, you're going to go with very ugly ads. What I would look at as an example, and we're going to talk about them a little bit later, but like OpenAI right now has the largest the largest growing user product there is with ChatGPT. Maybe they go with ads, but right now they have not. And granted, they're in a very different position because they are selling things and they're in an API business that matters for different reasons. But they have opted not to get into the ad game. And I wonder whether or not that is the future for some of these products. That being said, I'm not a long-term believer in Blue Sky. I think Blue Sky is having a moment right now that will probably fade because, like Threads, it's just not a sufficiently differentiated product aside from the animus that people have toward Twitter, which that passion kind of comes and goes, and the utility is going to be what it is. The other side of it is that Threads has Instagram that people can pump into, and Blue Sky simply doesn't.
Yeah, the Blue Sky has definitely had some rocketed growth recently. It's impressive. Yeah, whether that sticks or not kind of remains to be seen. I feel like we're all just spreading out around the internet, and people who say, "Oh, I'm off of X." Many people are, but there are a lot of people still on X, still using it the same way that it's always been fun to use before. I used Tweetbot for many years before that didn't end up working out anymore when it was still Twitter. So I never saw ads, and people would complain about, oh gosh, all the ads on Twitter now. And I go, just use a third-party app. You don't see any of these, see any of these ads. Now I deal with it like the next person, and it does suck. It does You get used to it. You can ignore them, or you can choose to engage with ads, which is of course what the advertisers want you to do. Blue Sky, I don't really know what you laid out, Rob. Like you said, sure, they can make some money doing, selling domain names. They can, I don't know, give you a variety of algorithms so you have a different experience. That could be interesting. That could. But otherwise, I feel like it's still just show me an ad. That's the way that they're going to make money.
I think the addiction of the possibility of making billions of dollars as compared to making millions of dollars is going to be too strong for Blue Sky. It is a for-profit company. I do disagree a bit with you, Jerry. I believe that Blue Sky has hit 20 million users. They're going to be around. They have enough people there that it's going to be driven. And what I see with the platform is that the way that it is growing, and as quickly as you can build your own graph there, that's unlike anything that I see. X doesn't need to do it. Threads is trying to figure out how to do it. It looks like Blue Sky has it. So even though they are just a fraction of the users of something like Threads, I see way more conversations there, which I enjoy. So over the last 3 weeks, I've probably used Threads a little bit less. I've definitely used Blue Sky a little bit more. The question will be, will they be able to figure out ads? Because people just don't like them. And what I hope for the platform is that they can figure out how to do it in a way that doesn't upset the people to the point to where they defect kind of. I don't think there's really a defection from Threads, but people clearly aren't filling Threads as much as they were. They're now looking at this new thing that doesn't have ads and hasn't announced until just recently that they may have them ever.
And so they're not and they're gonna flee Blue Sky when Blue Sky brings in ads and the Dingle Hopper app comes along, and everybody will say, "Wow, it was like Blue Sky when Blue Sky was good."
Right.
Yeah. And so on and so forth. Well, if you have thoughts about this or anything that we talk about on our show, Discord is a great way to join in the conversation. You can join by linking to a Patreon account at patreon.com/DTNS.
On Wednesday, OpenAI and defense company Anduril announced a partnership that will see OpenAI integrated software into Anduril's counter-drone systems developed to identify and take down drones. This is a significant flip in its stance for OpenAI. The company originally banned the use of its generative AI for military and warfare.
OpenAI was also for not for profit company at one point. So
and I think for profit now.
OpenAI has had a very interesting couple of years.
Certainly.
Yeah. I don't think this is a huge surprise.
Yeah, I do think that it does show a maturation in this field. Anduril, for people who don't know, is run by Palmer Luckey, the creator of Oculus, who was drummed out of Meta for reasons that you guys can do your own research on. He then just kind of decided that he would sort of become a defense contractor. And Anduril is an exceptional company that has done a lot of this stuff. I really believe that one of the most undercovered stories in tech is the post-SpaceX boom of scrappy startups that have kind of begun to eat away at the control that a lot of really entrenched defense contractors have had. And up till this point, they haven't just sold their tech and their talent to those companies, which has happened in the past, because they look at SpaceX and they realize, oh, wait, you could actually just be your own player here. You can take the whole pie. You can get the whole contract in a way that is not just selling to Northrop Grumman. As for the AI stuff, you're going to see a lot more of this going forward. There are rumors and whispers and some confirmed stuff of a lot of companies, named companies that are working in both warfare and intelligence. Machine learning has long been a part of both of those fields, and it will only continue now that we are seeing the frontier models be pushed by private companies.
We mentioned, go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say, the things that AI does, the things that machine learning, in this area does, is the kind of stuff that the military needs. So there's a need, and there are companies now saying, oh, we can do that, we can do that, we can do that. So they're going to do that. And I think, as you said, Justin, it's going to just be more and more, more and more companies are going to probably be getting into the space, particularly if they are for-profit companies, because the military, government contracting, they pay on time unless we're in a sequester.
Oh, yeah.
So they pay on time.
Now, the other side of that is that, and this kind of gets into the beyond the tech element of it, but theoretically, if you are buying these products kind of quote unquote off the rack, modified obviously for military purposes, they theoretically should cost less than if you are building them from scratch with these defense contractors, which is the way that things have gone in the past. So we'll see if it has any kind of financial benefit to the United States, but certainly that's the bargain that not only SpaceX and Anduril have been making, is that, hey, look, we'll just make these products. You just buy them. You don't have to come to us and say, we kind of want a thing. And then here's several $1 billion later, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. They can prove the work first and then sell it to the the government.
OpenAI started its 12 days of shipments. We talked about this, shipments, yesterday. So it's day one. We promise we will not cover OpenAI.
The first day of shipments.
Yes,
Sam Altman gave to me
GPT Pro. So we mentioned in yesterday's show that they're going to be doing this advent calendar style. Today, it kicked things off by announcing a new $200 per month subscription model called GPT Pro that includes access to its O1 model, including an exclusive O1 Pro mode, which offers more compute power to provide best possible answers for difficult problems. GPT 4.0 and also an advanced voice mode. So this is, again, you say $200 a month. That's crazy. Well, it depends. It depends on who you are and what you're doing. The $20 GPT Plus tier, which is much more the consumer-focused model, will still be on offer and is going to include early access to new features and all models except that O1 Pro mode. You're going to need to go GPT Pro for that. I'm still on GPT for just free. Every
free?
time every time it says, every time it says, "You ready for Plus?" I'm like, I'll just do this tomorrow. But I don't need it as much as some people do.
The 200 sounds like a lot, but that's not going to generally be for individual people who currently may have the Pro account now. This is going to be for researchers and ultimately businesses who are trying to build something on top of that stack.
Yeah.
So when you look at it like that, I will look at it not so much as, don't compare it to the free stuff. I would compare it to, you've got a really, really nice, AWS implementation, or you are doing these really crazy things in Salesforce, yes, or you've got HubSpot, for your company of 182 people, and you're using it this way. I look at it from that perspective, that it's not necessarily $200 just for one person. It is a single account, but it is more of an account that would be used by a business.
Yeah.
The way that they talked about Pro Mode in the announcement, which I would encourage everybody to watch, it's only 12 minutes. So they're keeping these announcements pretty short and consumable, but they are pretty dense if you're fascinated by AI. The way that they look at it is that you are looking at the hardest chemistry, math, and coding problems. So if you are in the world of research, if you're in the world of coding that is doing a lot of difficult stuff, like Rob pointed out, that's where this marketplace is. And it's basically people that were already running up against rate limits for GPT 4.0. Now they are able to have it without rate limits. That's the price that they set. By the way, remember that we were hearing rumors weeks ago of a $2,000 a month plan for OpenAI, which kind of makes you wonder if this is what
Justin,
they believe.
It's only day one.
I know. If this is what they believe a $200 plan is, you got to wonder what they believe a $2,000 plan would be, if that indeed comes to pass. The other side of this was O1, the model, being now out and deployed. Previously, we had seen O1 preview. The biggest steps forward were that it now has dynamic thinking. If you have ever used O1, the big thing that's different about it is that the model thinks amongst itself before it answers your question. And so initially what they were trying to solve for was that if you asked it hello, it would take as long as if you asked it something very complex. So now there's dynamic thinking. It goes a lot faster. there was some meme-y stuff happening during this interview. One of the lead researchers that was doing the demo had a strawberry on his laptop, which for those who have followed the idea of how many R's are in a strawberry, there was that. And then the first demo that they did for 01 was he's like, oh, well, I'm a history buff, so I asked it all of the Roman emperors, so all of the men only think about the Roman Empire meme. So it was, I don't know, I thought it was kind of charming, the announcement. I think it was a little lower fi than we are used to seeing from kind of top of the line tech companies, but I thought it was fun. It felt authentic in a way that the post Jobsian era of polish and lo-fi techno had kind of brought us away from.
Well, OpenAI is going to give us quite a bit more news over the next week plus, so stay tuned for that. We certainly will as well. Let's check out the mailbag.
Tristan writes in, heard you talk about possibilities for mobile password managers. I use KeePass DX, which is an Android version of KeePass XC, and stores all passwords locally in an encrypted .kbdx file. This file also works KeePass XC app on your PC if you want to sync it there as well. I've only been using it for about a month now, but so far I've done nothing. I've had nothing to complain about and have found the overall experience to be much better than the other free password managers I've tried.
We got a lot of responses. We definitely struck a chord on the show yesterday. Tanner also wrote in and said, I'm a recent convert to Proton. Their password manager is available on any device, supports autofill on iOS or macOS. You can create a separate vault to save secure notes, 2FA backup, security questions, etc. For images or documents, I use Proton Vault. Everything uploaded is encrypted with the possibility to add a second password as well as 2FA. Proton's free tier gives you access to all of their products with their paid option increasing storage.
And Paul said, RoboForm has an on-device version that lets you keep passwords, passkeys, identity, and freeform text all in a secure vault.
Oh, so that was our original emailer yesterday was complaining. Well, not complaining, but basically saying my mom is she's just storing passwords on her computer in like a text edit file.
Yeah,
we can't be doing this anymore. So this one from Paul is if there's no way to get them out of that habit, then something like RoboForm might be the right call. Justin Robert Young, I know you securely store passwords. I would expect nothing less from you. But when you're not doing that, where can we find you?
Well, World's Greatest Con, the show that I produce with Brian Brushwood, has 2 new episodes that came out for the holiday season. They are the story of Crazy Eddie. This is for anybody who grew up in the New York tri-state area during the 70s and 80s. You have undoubtedly seen more than one Crazy Eddie television ad. What you might not know is that the story behind it is absolutely insane. Tens of millions of dollars in stock fraud, familial betrayal, and international manhunt. It's all told to you on the most recent episodes of World's Greatest Con with Brian Brushwood.
Want a recap of the week's tech headlines with insights into how technology affects the African-American community? Then check out The Tech John, where hosts Robb Dunewood, Stephanie Humphrey, and Terrence Gaves dive into the tech stories of the week delivered from points of view you don't always hear in mainstream media. New episodes land Tuesday afternoons. Find it wherever you get your podcasts or visit thetechjawn.com.
Patrons, stick around for our extended show, Good Day Internet. Google Photos is giving you more options in an effort to free up some cloud storage. That's very nice of them if you use Google Photos. But how do you manage storage? We're going to go around the horn and then take live feedback from all of you who might have suggestions as well.
You can also catch the show live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. Find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We'll be back tomorrow talking about ensuring your digital communications remain private with Molly Wood and Lynn Peralta. See you tomorrow, folks.
Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.